You are listening to Business Heroine Radio for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. Join the Business Heroine community today at businessheroinemagazine.com. And now, tune into the show.
Welcome. I'm Ann Perry, founder of Business Heroine magazine, and we have such a fun guest today. So I would love to welcome Jennifer Urezzio. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. It's such a treat for me, actually.
It's a treat for me, too. I want to tell everybody a little bit about you before we dive right in. So Jennifer specializes in helping people connect to themselves, to each other, and to the divine. She founded a new paradigm, which is called soul language. I had the opportunity to experience it yesterday. I'll probably tell you a little bit more about that later in our interview. But this new paradigm is called soul language, and it provides guidance for understanding our true nature and tools for accessing deeper levels of awareness. So this new insight into how the soul expresses itself is being embraced by top healers, lifestyle coaches, and CEOs all over the world as a message for helping people recognize their purpose and live from a place of power and truth. And this is what Jennifer is here to share with us today. So again, thank you, Jennifer, for being here.
Oh, it's my honor and pleasure. I'm really excited. I'm just in awe about what you offer people and what Business Heroine's all about. So I consider it a privilege.
Well, the privilege is ours. So tell us about your story into entrepreneurship. Like, how did you come to do this work with soul language? Just give us a glimpse of that journey.
Can I use curse words?
You can.
Because, I would like to say, it was a gentle decision and blah, 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 but it was more like a kick. I was in corporate America. I was a bulldog in corporate America. I worked with the media and securing, stories from my clients. The media loves me. My clients, I wasn't allowed to talk to clients because I would tell them the truth. And I remember having this conversation with this internationally known coach, and I was guiding her and supporting her for 2 hours on the phone, not about PR, but about her relationship with her daughter. And I got off the phone, and my best friend who owned the company said, "Did you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And a week later, she fired us, citing me that I didn't know her business or know anything about her. I did. I just saw behind the curtain. And I said, this is going to keep happening. I'm going to go freelance in 3 months. So 3 months comes by, and Erin goes, "Okay, so tomorrow you're going freelance." And I went, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "I've already made plans." She didn't, but I kind of was forced to go freelance. And it makes perfect sense for who I am because I'm such a renegade and because I'm such an innovator, and I don't ever know how to manage up. I'm a great manager down. And, so that's kind of, and I didn't know. I had a lot of good business sense, but I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know about structures and foundations, and it was easy to talk about the money when I wasn't the person who you were paying for. And so it was a huge learning curve. Some of it was really graceful, and some of it was really bumpy. And, the only thing I had going for me was that deep connection to soul via soul language, that deep understanding that I'm never alone, that deep understanding and how to tune into my truth and be guided by that truth.
And so did you know did you always have that sense of truth, or was that something that emerged from this experience?
I always had that sense of intuition, of knowing most of my life. I didn't know how I was utilizing it. I learned to utilize it for my greatest good when I stepped out of corporate America. They would come in and they would go, oh, who should we call? And I would look down a media sheet and say, call that person. And they would go. They'd come back and they go, oh, my God, they're going to run the story. I was utilizing it then. I utilized it in high school. I was the answer girl in corporate America and with my friends. Like, Jen, do you know this answer? And I'd be like, blah, blah, blah. And they would go off and check it and come back and go, how do you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I just knew.
Yeah.
So as my intuition, my intuitive abilities, my connection became my business, those skills are so finely developed now, and always constantly growing. So, I did have it, but it was an untapped muscle.
Yeah. And so how did you move from PR in corporate America to developing this paradigm called soul language?
I asked several big questions. This woman asked me to speak at her conference, which she's like, there's going to be lots of people talking, and there wasn't. There was just her. It was her conference, and me talking about life purpose and essential oils. And prior to that conference, I'm like, okay, I know what my life purpose is, which is powerful healer and teacher of service in the spotlight. That's groovy. What do I do with that funny title? And where are my people? Because I'm really angry and I'm really alone. And what happens when you ask a question long enough and loud enough, you get an answer. And I was at this table, and this woman sat down next to me and went, we're going to be friends. And I went, yeah, that's true. And then in my inside voice with the divine, I'm like, why is that true? And what I heard was soul language. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to keep asking questions. And before long, I had this paradigm of putting tangible to the intangible, to soul and the soul of someone's business, and to describe the three core energies of our soul: your mission, how you fuel that mission, and then your soulful personality. And when I started to identify people, I kept hearing the same thing. You just put words to what I know deep down inside. Wait, I get to accept this? Wait, this is a gift and talent? Wait, this is power? Even people who've been on the path forever were saying that. And when I started identifying the soul of a business and putting tangibility to that, what I heard time and time again was, wait, I'm not my business? Wait, it has its own agenda? Wait, this is really powerful? Wait, there's a whole lot of energy here that I'm not utilizing? Wait, I can ask my business a question and it gives me an answer that it actually can turn into reality and tangibility? Wait, what?
Yeah.
And there's always a moment, or several, when you realize you're not crazy, when you kind of do this work. And I was identifying this woman's soul language who knew nothing about the 107 different core energies of soul. And I said, okay, so you're a partner. And I said, how does that resonate? And she said, well, before I got on the phone, Jen, I asked myself, if Jen asked me what my language would be, what would I say? She goes, and I wrote down the word partner. Now, and you talked to me, right? And I have warrior energy, right? I'm no nonsense. Well, I burst out hysterically crying. And she's like, oh, my God, are you okay? I was like, you just told me I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I'm in this wonderful new relationship, and I said to him, he's starting a barbershop. And I said to him, okay, tell me why you want to start this barbershop. And he gave me, I want to do money, blah, blah, blah. I go, no. Tell me why. And he gave me his reason. I was like, okay, because anytime that you feel discouraged or you fall down or something doesn't go as planned, I'm going to tell you that reason back, because that's going to propel you forward. And then you need to build structures around those reasons, right? You need the nuts and bolts, but you also need the reason. And I think that so many entrepreneurs have this deep insight of this power reason why they're creating what they're creating. And they negate it, or they don't accept it, or they think that it's insane, right? And so there's that moment in my life where someone said, you're not insane. It's so not insane that I've actually gotten the same answer and I didn't know anything about it. So
I love that. And do you mind if I jump in for a moment? Because I really want to touch on this particular point, which this piece, first of all, about finding out that you're not crazy. And then on the other side, it was kind of, you were talking about sort of recognizing these unique areas or unique gifts, and also recognizing that they are powerful, as you mentioned, because sometimes a way of being is so just, if it's our nature, if that's how we're wired, it's almost so obvious to us that we don't even see it. It's right under our nose. And so I just want to share a little bit. I'll have you share, but I'll kind of give a little bit of example of my experience with your work, Jennifer, for everybody listening. You guys, this is so fascinating because it really is putting words to sort of what you already know deeply on a soul level. And it's kind of like when something is named, all of a sudden it's in your conscious mind, and you can use that to your you can use it consciously as opposed to it sort of running under the fabric, or maybe you're not using it to its full power. So there's these three areas. Tell us about the three areas again. There's these three areas, and
sure.
Take it from there. Yeah.
So there's three core energies of soul, okay? Mm-hmm. And they've got very sophisticated names. So I'll use the sophisticated name and then I'll explain it. The first and there's no one better than the other. I just say them in this order because it's the way I've always done it. So the first one is axiom of quest, and that literally means the line of mission. And that core energy of your soul is all about your purpose here. And here's where everyone kind of screws up on purpose. They think that the purpose is about doing, and it's not. It's about being. It's what you're profoundly here to experience, and then offer that experience to others. So my language, my core energy in that category is called equalizer. It's all about creating that perfect formula of balance, first for myself, because it all starts at home, and then offering others their perfect formula of balance. And I have had jobs where I have, literally using the word correctly, held someone's hand as my job. They have said to me, can you just hold my hand when I do this? You want me to hold your hand? Yeah, can you just make me feel so balanced? Okay? So I'm here to profoundly experience balance for myself and then offer that to others. The second language category, which is what we identified for you, is called axiom of translation, the line of translation. It's how you translate. It's the fuel of that mission and purpose. It's how you'll be known here. So my language in that category is called teacher of integrity. So how do I feel balance? By seeing where myself or others are out of integrity for themselves, which really means the consciousness of love. So here's a perfect example in corporate America of my teacher of integrity. I'm on the phone with a well-known male portion of a male-female coaching team. And I didn't know anything about this work at the time. And he is yelling at me because I make him feel like a child. All I'm doing is being my essential self, and he's seeing where he's out of integrity. Right? I get off the phone, which I didn't say anything through the whole conversation. And I'm like, well, I don't know anything about what he does, but I can't make him feel anything, right? Like, that's up to him, right? But my teacher of integrity, that energy just says, okay, it's a mirror of here's where you're out of love for yourself. Let's get you back in.
Got it.
Okay? The last category is called tone. And tone is about our soulful personality, how our soul prefers to go through life. And we tend to judge our preferences left and right. We never hear, oh, my God, I hate broccoli. How could I hate broccoli, right? But we hear for ourselves how we prefer to do things and how we judge it all the time. My language in that category is called graceful warrior, action, movement, courage, and grace. Most of my life, there's a conscious way you use your soul, which feels like woohoo, and an unconscious, which is pain and struggle. So most of my life, I was in the pain and struggle of the graceful warrior, at war with everything. And anyone who has any warrior energy in them will know what that feels like to be at war with something. It's extremely painful. And so I would be, again, in corporate America, right, and go, can you pass that pen? And they'd be like, why are you so defensive? I'm like, I just asked for a pen. But I was so turned up inside that it was just impacting everything. When I really started to connect with that part, and I started to release all of that programming, all of the patterns that say that I had to fight for what I want, what happened was people started coming to me for my courage, really powerful people who were powerful but needed to feel safe being vulnerable. And I was that girl for them. Then I got to see where I was at little wars with myself. I went back into connection. I do connection every day, right? But I went back into deep connection, kind of rearranged all of those programmings, and I moved one house over. My book got published, and I got a bigger, different kind of clientele of people. And I started feeling all this support around me. Then I wanted a sacred partnership. And that has been a roller coaster ride of seeing where I was at war with masculine energy. And we're still going through that right now. I just started dating a fantastically amazing man. Really cool. Like his crazy and my crazy go. Because right? Because I'm not operating from programming. I'm operating from consciousness and soul. And human beings need a tangible way to do that. And especially entrepreneurs really need a tangible way to do that because there's so much innovation in them. They are always, right? They're always going to go kind of going against the grain. They're so renegade. And you always have to. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Finish what you were about to say. I didn't want to cut you off there.
Well, you always need additional tools to accept and not judge all of those talents or all the ways you like to do things. And you need ways to understand, really on a core level who your people are, what you express, how to express it, and what's in your greatest good to do. Because entrepreneurs are so off-road, and there's a part, I think, of the entrepreneurial spirit sometimes where we kind of just want to fit in, and we don't. And then we get sad because we don't fit in, and we do things to fit in. And it creates some disharmony in our lives and in our businesses.
Yeah, and there's also when we're entrepreneurs and soul-fueled entrepreneurs like the Business Heroines are, most of the women who are involved with Business Heroine, who are our listeners and our readers and our heroines who we feature, it's not just like a business where you're selling widgets for money. And not, there's passion, there's some kind of purpose behind the work you do that's very, very close to your heart. And so it's a big deal to be putting that out there. And it can be scary when you encounter roadblocks or, and you have to summon your courage to move through stuck spots. And so what I love about the tools that you offer with Soul Language is it's just another way to know yourself. And when you know that about yourself, you can recognize, like you gave some examples, Jennifer, of when you were at war within yourself. And when you recognize those moments, it's shining the light on them so that they're no longer driving you around blindfolded. So, for example, I had a session with Jennifer yesterday, and I really highly recommend you guys do this. It's very, very cool. I learned about the second one. I'm so sorry. It's
Axiom of Translation, how you'll be known here, the fuel of your mission. Yeah.
Yes, and mine is the image maker, which was fascinating because it's like when it's in the shadow side, when it's in the unconscious, that part of me is sort of the little old me self-doubt person. And it's just fascinating because that has been a huge thing that I've, worked on overcoming over the years. And then when it's in the positive side, when it's in the conscious, it's seeing the essence of people and shining light on that so the rest of the world can see it too. And that is so, it was just fascinating because here's Jennifer on the other line going, okay, okay, here it is. And I was like, what? She did, she did that, and she nailed it she nailed it on the head. So, but it's fascinating. So seeing that potential in people and illuminating that for themselves and the rest of the world, so it activates that dream business. Like that's hugely why I'm here. So, and then the other thing that I just wanted to point out that's fascinating about the work that you do, Jennifer, is that you can find out these 3 axioms for yourself, but then your business has 3 different aspects. Like they aren't necessarily the same. And you mentioned this at the very beginning of the call, that we can think that we are the same as our business, especially if it's a soul-centered, purpose-driven business that's completely designed around our own path. It's like so much of you is in your business, and yet your business is an entity in and of itself that has its own preferences and desires and soul. And can you share just a little bit about that with us, a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and I think you make an excellent point. Soul-centered, spirit-centered, individuals are especially service-oriented businesses, are often going to see themselves as their business. We call in a business to do something bigger first for ourselves and then for others. I'm going to repeat that because it's so important. First for yourself, then for others. And masters of service often are such of service that they forget that they're part of the service agreement. And we call in that energy to do something bigger for ourselves. So 9 out of 10 times, you're going to need different energy to support you, right? You're going to need a different kind. It's almost like, so you love your green coat, right? And you need the blue coat to go outside. So it's additional energy that's going to kind of lift you. The thing with business energy is it doesn't have free will. So it's pure consciousness. When people kind of visualize their personal soul next to their business soul, they'll say, oh, my God, the business soul is so big. Yeah, because it's pure consciousness. It doesn't have all of your programming. It doesn't have, you reliving, the time that you were told to shut up because you were too in the spotlight and your mother was concerned that, she was embarrassed in the restaurant, right? So when you put pure consciousness into that energy, it will act pure consciously. So by understanding those core languages of your business, what that allows you to do, it allows you to even more clearly market. It allows you to understand, okay, we'll use me as an example. So the business entity, the soul, is heart conscious. That's its axiom of translation, how it will be known here. The mission is counselor, and the soulful personality of the business is collaborator. Okay. When I identified my business soul, I basically hit the roof on the collaborator. I'm like, no, it can't be a collaborator. Collaboration has been painful. It's cost me money to collaborate. Was still paying off the $5,000 debt contract because of collaboration. And I went, okay, that's a whole type of energy that I'm at war against. I'm not utilizing that for my greatest good. So I went to my personal soul because the problem's never with the business energy. It's always with you. And what do I get to let go of for collaboration to be effortless? And I did my internal work. Right? I did my internal work. And then what would happen, which the first time it happened, and I laughed at the person. I was like, I'm not laughing at you. I'm actually laughing at the divine at the moment because it's just too funny. People would call me and go, how do I collaborate with you? And I went, oh,
what?
Right? Right.
Yeah.
So when I send out any proposal for any client, I don't talk about working with me. I talk about collaborating with me. Because that's what we're doing, and that's what people who are coming to the business with me in it are looking for. They're actually looking for collaboration with courage, right?
Yeah.
That's that my graceful warrior part and the collaborator part. So by understanding and utilizing that energy to its fullest, you're utilizing all of the resources of the divinity of your business, especially with soul-oriented people, heart-oriented businesses. That's why you called it in, right? You called it in to be, to share, how do I put this, the wholeness and completeness of the world. So by understanding and having tangibility around that business, you have a clearer path of understanding and strategy.
So fascinating. So you guys, is this blowing your mind? And Jennifer has also, I want to make sure that this is still true, but when we spoke before, you shared that you were offering these soul language discovery programs for the business heroines where they can find out one of their 3 soul languages. Is that right? As
my gift to you, yes.
Oh, so generous. Tell us a little bit more about that. So as a gift, you guys, this is a gift from Jennifer. Tell us what happens during that session.
Sure. We identify one of your 3 core personal energies. We never identify a business soul without identifying the personal soul first, because it does you no good to know what your business soul is if you don't know what you're putting into it. So during a discovery session, it lasts about 15, 20 minutes, and what we do is we identify one of your 3 core energies of soul. I'll read you the formal definition. I'll send you the formal definition. And what we'll do is we'll do transformational work with tangible tools in that session. So you leave with something that you can actually work with and actually create a deeper connection. I have no attachment to doing them. I love doing them, meaning for example, because first of all, I love to understand those languages in a deeper way. So every time I talk to an image maker or a hunter, that gives more weight to the definition. Soul language is a living, breathing paradigm. It's a structure that continues to grow. So I love doing it. And I love to give people tangible tools, right? A tool doesn't, a tool doesn't work unless you're utilizing it.
Right. Well, I can't wait and there's 107. There are 107 soul languages, is that right?
Yes, and each one of us speaks 3, and your business speaks 3.
So 3 out of 107. So for me, as I shared a little earlier, mine was image maker. And already I can see how to put that to use in my life, because basically I can catch myself if I fall into little old me complex, and I can catch myself when I'm, and I can rechannel that or take another look at that, shine the light on it, so I can be in that energy of really actually witnessing the essence of people and shining a light on that amazingness, like appreciating that and activating that for the world. So I love that, and I want to find out my other soul languages too. So we'll make sure that the link is in the article, so you guys can go ahead and connect with Jennifer and schedule that, and then share in the Facebook group what your soul language is that you discovered, that you identified, because I would love to have a conversation around that. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, my God, that would be so much fun. Do you want to know why that would be so much fun? Because
why would that be so fun?
Because then you understand, as a leader of this community, who the community attracts. So, for example, if you had like 15 image makers, well, then I would call you an image maker of image maker. If you had like 25 pioneers, then I would say that your image making helps people who forge new roads for themselves. Like, that's huge.
That's fascinating.
Right, and here's the great thing. So in the language definitions, there is a section of languages to attract to support you. So if people start sharing their languages, you can talk to people who speak your same language, so there's an amplification of power, and you can find those languages that are just naturally going to support you. So imagine wanting to find a designer who's an image maker.
Right. That's great. Well, this will be really fun. I definitely encourage you, everyone listening, take advantage of that, because it's super generous too. So thank you so much. And I just say, for those of you listening, first of all, I hope that you found a lot of value just hearing about this paradigm of soul languages, and I hope that you and also, can we just talk about for a second how cool Jennifer's business is? Like, one of the things that I totally geek out about with Business Heroine is that you can seriously invent a business around any passion you have, or anything. You can have a business around anything. So soul language didn't even exist. It popped in your head one day, or from who knows where. It just arrived. And it's like, now that's your whole business, and a book is written, and there's 107 languages, and people's lives are being changed. So I just love that. I just want to highlight that for those out here who might feel that what you have to offer the world is maybe a little different, a little out there, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's like, oh, that's been done before, but you can do it in your unique way, and there's just room for everybody. So I just wanted to highlight that. I just think it's awesome.
I would agree. I second that.
Yay, seconding the motion. So cool. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. Is there any last words of wisdom or insight you have to share with the business heroines before we close our conversation today?
Yeah, I think the main thing I want them to understand is, only take action on those things, those steps, those people that are going to reinforce and remind you that you're whole and complete. When you take an action that makes you feel doubt or fear or separate, that's probably not the best action for you. And I'm not talking about the fear of doing something new. I'm talking about the fear of not good enough. So William Burroughs has this great line that if you are hanging out with someone that makes you feel like you've lost a quart of plasma, don't hang out with that person. So do things that really resonate with you. Even if you can't make sense of it, when you follow that intuition, when you follow your gut, when you're being led by your soul, it will work out. We might not be able to see it, but it will work out.
Awesome. I second that motion. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Love having you here, and we will see you next time. Take care.
You have been listening to Business Heroine Radio for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out what's new at businessheroinemagazine.com today.